on in the room. Bucks lose tonight, 103-100. Come on in the room. We're going around with the Doc Rivers voice here a little bit. I'm not sick, not under the weather. I feel great. I was in Bank of America Stadium. One of my teams had to win. I'm leaving here with something. So the Panthers got the dub today over the Buccaneers, but you come back, you watch these Milwaukee Bucks, and they lose at 103-100 despite having a 16-point lead in the third quarter. Losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Come on in the room. Overdoing the doc is doctor stuff, but we are live. It's the Cream City crossover group there.
Chris King.
103-100 is the final. Get at us on the YouTube. Get at us on the Twitter. Let's talk about this thing here as the Bucks fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, so people talking about people blowing the game already in the chat. We'll get into all of that, get into it. Hit that like button on the way in. 103-100. Let's do a game recap tonight as the Bucks find another way to lose to the Timberwolves, to another team. Kyle Kuzma tonight, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He had a really good first half, was quiet in the second half, 3 of 5. Did have 4 turnovers, so you got to cut that down. But I thought Kuz tonight, he was average. It was a A first half, maybe a B plus first half, and then it was a C minus second half. He just didn't impact the game. I thought his defense on Anthony Edwards was solid, but it didn't have a huge impact outside of the first half. Bobby Portis 16 and 11 tonight, 7 to 17. He was a +6 on the game, 3 turnovers, including a terrible one. Up 5. Again, it's one of those things where, and we'll talk about it tonight. I'm sure a lot will talk about Doc Rivers tonight, and I saw some people saying, well, Doc Rivers empowers Bobby Portis. At the end of the day, this is a 5-point game. You're trying to get there's like few minutes left, and Bobby Portis comes down the fast break, just loses the ball. Like he's never dribbled before. But then I asked, why are you dribbling? Maybe you should have given the ball. I don't know. But I thought overall, and again, it's a common theme, solid first half. Second half didn't feel like it was there as much. Miles Turner, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought the effort tonight all over the place, outside of some stretches in the third, I actually thought the effort was pretty good for the most part throughout the night. Even from Miles Turner, who only ends up with, 5 rebounds here. I thought the effort was there. And then Bobby, someone said to close the door. The other one, Bobby, the 3-point shot in the corner in the fourth quarter, where it's like it bounced to him. He was out of rhythm, and it's like, set your feet and take the shot. And instead, he fumbled it, and he didn't really feel the guy's his feet underneath him, just pulled it, missed it. But yeah, Turner, I thought second half, again, wasn't – and then the 13 points, but 8 of it came back-to-back in the first half, back-to-back threes, and he got fouled. In a nice little sequence we had playing 2-man game with KPJ. So it's funny, like it was really just he ends up with 13 points. It was really one flurry, and that was it. AJ Green was horrible. I mean, again, I'll give him a break. I'll give him a break and say that, still something wrong with his shoulder. But if his shoulder is still banged up, you're not ready to play, or you need spot minutes. And we'll see if you hit a couple shots, and then that's it. 4 points, 3 boards tonight. Kevin Porter Jr., 24, 10, and 9, 4 steals, 8 of 17, 6 turnovers. Got to cut down the turnovers in the story. But KPJ just continues to do it all for this basketball team. You see the talent. You see what he can do. It's a dump. It's the live ball turnovers. It's the stepping out of bounds. It's getting the ball took from you in opportune times. Those types of plays. Still the, drive it to the basket, throw it off the backboard. Trying to draw foul. He still has those moments and plays in him, but he's a young basketball player, and I think he's doing a lot for this basketball team, especially without Giannis and without, that jailbreaker. He is the jailbreak. So, you feel like, and it does, 6 turnovers for KPJ. It's tough when KPJ is the best. He's the best player on the floor. I don't think he's that. Like, I think KPJ is a really good player. I think he should be your number 2 or your number 3. When KPJ is the best player on the floor, you may see 6 turnovers. So in some ways I understand it. Jericho Sims 9.6 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal. I thought he did what he could do out there. Just dunk the ball, rebound, and try and play. Gary Trent Jr. pathetic, 6 points, 2 boards a night. Gary Harris, enjoy the cardio. And then Ryan Rollins, 22 minutes, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block, +5. I mean, you could definitely make the argument he should play more than 23 minutes. I'm not going to sit there and hold you. He should have played more. And that's on Doc Rivers to figure that out. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I won't belabor that. Looking on the other side of things, the Bucks really held Minnesota. You held 103 points. You got to find a way to win that game. Julius Randle, 12 points. You hold Randle to 12-7. You hold Anthony Edwards to 24-4. Rudy Gobert had 18 rebounds. Not surprised. His effort was much better in the second half than it was in the first. 11 points. Donte DiVincenzo got hot for a moment. Naz Reid, 12-6. Terrence Shannon had a stretch. Was that in the fourth quarter where he hit, was it back-to-back back threes or whatever it was. Bones Highland with 9 points. Bucks was 103, 100. Let me get a couple super chats before I wrap up my initial thoughts. Steelerface 21 with a super chat. Appreciate it. He says, no positives tonight. I disagree with that. We say no positives tonight. The Timberwolves are a good basketball team. And I'm not saying you get moral victories or anything, but to say no positives when that was outside of a couple stretches, that was good basketball. I ask you and I ask collectively, what do you think this team is without Giannis? Like, that's again, the difference is, to me, you got to beat the bad teams. You got to beat the middle of the road teams. Playing Minnesota, I think compound is bad when you compound everything that you think about. But playing Minnesota like this, tough on the road, I wasn't mad at it. If you take every game in a one-game vacuum. Now, again, if you add it all up collectively, yes. But tonight, no, I thought tonight generally mostly was positive. I will say that. He says this was a blowout masked by an awful shooting first half from the Blouses. Even if by some miracle Giannis doesn't demand a trade, we cannot float the ship. We cannot float this ship that long. And again, Steelerface, I don't know that you say the miracle that Giannis doesn't demand a trade. It seems like the miracle would be that he does demand a trade from everything that we hear. It doesn't feel like a trade is coming. But another super chat, we appreciate it. William Range says, our glorious coach had the team playing zone up 10, up 16 against a team that scores the third best against zone defense in the league. No quarrels there. We talk about it every night. You can't win playing that much zone. You just can't. It's going to be tough to win the NBA playing that much zone. You're not wrong. But again, to me, it was that 20-0 run in the stretch of the third quarter that lost you this basketball game. But yeah, that was your recap. But again, I just thought that in that first half, the Bucks did a lot of really, really, really good things. I thought, and this is why, and I'll say this, on the Ryan Rollins not playing 23 minutes, I'm hoping Justin gives me an answer from the Doc Rivers press conference. I'd love to hear it. I hope somebody asked that question because that didn't make sense. We know he said before that he doesn't think Rollins and KPJ play well together. Well, Doc, that's on you to figure that out. But I will say tonight's this is what I'll say. It's not all about Doc Rivers. Like, at what point do we hold players accountable? AJ Green shooting the ball, terrible. Gary Trent shooting the ball, terrible. At what point do we hold Bobby Porter's terrible decision in the second half? At what point, Miles Turner, no rim protection. At what point do we hold these guys accountable? And again, if you're going to give Doc Rivers the blame, are you telling me he gets all the credit for the first half? Because again, in the first half, I saw a team that looked prepared. I saw pace and space. I saw effort to go get the rebounds. Bucks were winning the rebounding margin in the first half. Is that on Doc? Why did that happen in the third quarter where it all just went away? That's my question. And it's a genuine question. I don't have the answer to it. I think the answer is, and again, I'm not saying Doc Rivers is a good coach. I think some of the answer is this is just a bad basketball team without Giannis. Chris, we talked about at the beginning of the season, literally the preseason episode of Cream City Crossover, we said, how does this team win without Giannis? This team is constructed and built to play with Giannis. Not a great team, but it's built to play with Giannis. With catch and shoot shooters, couple guys that can do some other things. Kyle Kuzma as your defensive athletic wing, and should have been Terrence Torian Prince, as another one of those wings that could hit the three. That's what we were sold on. That team is without Giannis, that team is not here. So I'm not surprised that they look like this in some regards. I'm not saying that's not a Doc Rivers issue, but I'm also saying I look at this team and I go, not surprised you look like this. We'll keep it going in the conversation, but that's all I saw. That's all I got for right now. Chris, what'd you see?
Yeah, and if I think back to that episode, I think a lot of what we were kind of hanging our hats on is the fact that, okay, we just got like a massive, almost record-setting game from Gary Trent Jr. in one of those playoff games versus the Pacers. We got probably the best A.J. Green we had ever seen in that towards the end of that season, during that season. And then we also signed Miles Turner, got rid of Brook Lopez, and I thought that maybe that's probably why we were a little more optimistic than what we're actually getting now, because you look at it and A.J. Green isn't playing that well coming off the injury. Gary Trent Jr. hasn't shot the ball well all season, came even remotely close to what we saw in the playoffs last year. And then Miles Turner's been a shell of himself. Look, I thought he was a little competitive on offense, but on the defensive end, he didn't really give us much at all today. I thought, even if we're winning the rebounding battle, it's still those offensive boards. That's why they're able to catch up. That's why they're able to extend possessions. The Bucks haven't been able to extend possessions, and that's why I think that when you get a big lead, when you go up 14, when you go up 16 points, we're still on our end shooting one and dones. The other team is having 2 or 3 shots at it on some possessions, and that can be killer, and that can get teams right back in the game. And I felt like that's what happened today. Some positives, yeah. I mean, I think when you look at Kuzma coming back, I think that probably helped this basketball team a little bit in being competitive against a good basketball team. And you saw that. You saw the defense. Yeah, he made a bonehead mistake. Probably shouldn't have fouled Anthony Edwards after they had decided not to foul late in the game. But at that point, is it already over? Maybe. We don't know. But I thought he stayed in front of him well. It was kind of a quiet night, I would say, from Anthony Edwards. And, yeah, he still gives you 24. But you basically got that negated by a Kevin Porter Jr. who had 24, 10, and 9. I just think that, those turnovers, Trey, that you talked about, yeah, I'm in agreement where it's like he's the only one, and maybe this is by his choice because he does seem to dribble the ball a lot, want to have the ball a lot, hog the ball a lot, but he's turning the ball over because he seems like he's the only playmaker. And then if you're taking Rollins out, and we'll talk about what we think about that, that limits the offense, that limits ball handlers without Giannis as well. So that's pretty much what I saw tonight, just got killed on the glass again, killed on the offensive glass, and the zone. I think that's a mistake. It's been a mistake, and other teams are making us pay. So all in all, I mean, it's still a loss at the end of the day. So we're not taking any moral victories. Probably should have won that game, as many other games this season, and you just didn't do it. And this team is too inconsistent to make any sort of change unless we do get Giannis back, in my opinion.
Let me go to super chat before you go, Justin. NYC Randy, appreciate it. He says I'm not throwing blame on anybody tonight. This roster's just not good. You are what your record says you are without Giannis. Without a miracle trade from Horst, I see a first round next to the best. What is Doc's record now, Chris? See somebody in the chat said Rick Hamilton says Doc is back to 500 record counting playoffs since his mistaken hire. Okay, counting playoffs. I wonder what just his regular season record is, but I agree, NYC. It's not good without Giannis. Giannis has to come back. You did see him get to practice, and looks like he's working his way back. But you're probably, you're probably 2-3 weeks out at best from a Giannis return. So this team's got to continue to fight to try to at least turn it around. As I saw somebody else in the chat say the Bucks are 2.5 games out of the 10th spot for the play-in. So They're gonna have to get on the horse pretty quickly here. But Justin, go ahead.
So if he mentioned something about Ryan Rollins, I missed it. So if y'all in the chat will help us out with that, if you heard him mention anything about Rollins, what I got from was he's talked about the turnovers were what killed us tonight, and just a terrible stretch, 4-minute stretch, and that's probably going to allude to that 20-0 run. Offense got back on pace, especially in the first half. KPJ's turnovers were late. And talked about the turnover that you kind of alluded to with Bobby. And then Kuz had one right after that.
Mm-hmm.
Just say guys are trying to do too much at that. You got to make the right basketball decision. I think everyone knows that if we're going to have a big dribbling the ball, it shouldn't be Bobby. You got to find a guard. I think Rollins was running with him on that play. So that was a bad play. And this is me talking for a second. You're playing a very good basketball team, and you can't afford to have that ineffectiveness that we had tonight on back-to-back possessions. Then you compound that with KPJs stepping on the baseline turnovers in the fourth quarter. And look, when they picked the ball from him and went down the court, I think he was mugged as well. That looked like a lot of arm contact and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Kuz's foul was a bad foul. Kuz thought that someone told him to foul. Bobby and Miles are doing a good job. He puts them in the lineup because he likes them together that can score, and they both were getting downhill and doing a lot with rolling tonight. And then someone asked him a question about not winning a road game since I think it was like November 10th or 9th or something like that. And he just said, and they asked him, what do you think we need to do better? Doc said we need to score more points. And every basketball game is different. So this game tonight, the game plan will be completely different in Indy, Chicago, etc. And we just got to find a way to win. I agree with the 18 turnovers. Second half fouls, we did not get to the free throw line with the effectiveness that we did in the first half. We talked about the 20-0 run. AJ Green 1 for 8 from the floor tonight. Just can't have that. Gobert was, the guy did everything that you want him to do. We know he's not an offensive threat. He scored a lot of buckets down low, a lot of alley-oops, and he did a good job controlling the paint, which is what you want your big guy to do. Minnesota scored 23 points off of our 18 turnovers. That's a plus 16 on that. It's just a lot of bad basketball right now, man. We can't play hero ball, and we have to be more concise with this stuff. Valiant effort, that fell short. Hopefully we'll come in Indiana, and we're going to have to come with it, because one thing about that team, they're kind of like whatever your biggest rivals are. Throw the records out the window. If we're the best team in the East and they're the worst team, records out the window, and you got to play basketball to beat them. So we'll see what happens.
But I guess I wonder where the sense of, or if at all there is a sense of urgency. We heard Doc. I see chat talking about the AD trades, and we're not getting AD unless we're trading. Okay, listen, I'm not getting into Anthony Davis. But again, I really don't think that Giannis is going to get traded at this point, just because that's not what the trends are saying. It could happen, but again, yeah, I think Giannis is going to have to ask out. But again, that's another topic of discussion. But that's my question. Where's the sense of urgency for this basketball team? Like, you just can't. And again, I'm at a loss. That 20-0 run, I think a lot of times you want to say, oh, well, Doc called like 2 or 3 timeouts during that run. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but in the fourth, he had 1 timeout left, like in the fourth quarter for a long stretch, because he used them during that run, and nothing worked. They tried to get. Go ahead.
I miss that part. Sorry, not to cut you off. He did say that he used one of those timeouts right after the challenge due to the fact we strongly needed a bucket. They got the look they wanted. Miles knocked down the 3. Go ahead. That's all I forgot.
But even like when they came out of the second half, they tried to get AJ Green going from 3. Just didn't work. And I saw someone else in the chat say Rhymes only got 22 minutes, but Gary Harris gets 10. Look at the names that are left on the bench. Like, the names that are left are Thanasis, Cole Anthony, Amir Coffey, Andre Jackson Jr., Pete Nance. Those are your only other guys that are available for Doc Rivers to play. So if you don't want Gary Harris playing 11 minutes, then is it Amir Coffey? Is it Andre Jackson Jr.? Again, maybe it could be Andre Jackson Jr. I don't know. I almost think that they play Gary Harris now because he's almost like a net neutral. He does like nothing. He does nothing good, but he also doesn't necessarily do a lot of bad. He's just kind of running. And when you have guys like Cole Anthony can lose your game in 2 minutes. I'm just saying. It's almost like a luxury with this group to have a guy that I can steal 10 minutes with Gary Harris just running up and down. Cool.
Which is insane we're in that position. It's just insane we're in that position. Like,
it is. Yeah, I mean it's just getting rough, and I'm struggling to find, like, outside of like bad play from AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. could definitely play better. But tonight, I mean, I'm looking at the guy, and it's like, when I say play better, I mean play better in the sense of from these other guys. What more can I ask for from Kevin Porter Jr., Kyle Kuzma? Kuzma gets you 10 rebounds tonight. What more can I ask for from Kevin Porter Jr., Kyle Kuzma? Rollins could have played more, but I'm just saying it's hard to be like, oh well, Miles Turner's up at 13. Well, he's really should be at 20 point tonight. He should give me 20, and Kuzma should give me like. I guess what I'm saying is like I don't even know when I'm watching this team. And there was a stat, their offensive efficiency is bad. Their defensive efficiency is bad. The Milwaukee Bucks, Chris, they're the Chris Livingstons of the NBA, where I'm not joking. They don't do anything good. They don't run a highly efficient offense, a good offense, and they don't run a highly efficient or good defense. They have no identity. They literally don't do anything. And I go back to, I'm 100% will agree with everybody in chat or anybody who will tell you that Doc Rivers is not some great coach. So Matt, I'll give you that. I guess I don't know what I don't know how much more. I think somebody else said, I don't think a coach is saving this. I think maybe a couple more wins, cool. But saving this, I think you're waiting on Giannis to come back and to try and play effective. Now, again, when Giannis comes back, can't sit around the zone all game. So you got to figure this out. But how close, I guess, are the Milwaukee Bucks to what I would call, I don't necessarily want to call it a panic button or what, but to making those trades where you try to upgrade your talent outside of Giannis? Like, how close are you to making those moves?
I just think back to what you just said in the sense that we don't have an identity on offense or defense. And so I think they're at it right now. They need to change something right now. It needs to be a big change. It needs to be somebody that can change the identity of what the defense is putting out every night, what the offense is putting out every night. Like, there has to be somebody out there that can just change the culture, change the identity of the way this basketball team plays. Because when I'm turning these games on, and as of now, it's been a kind of a snowball effect. These guys they're showing up lethargic after big wins. If they get a win, they'll probably lose the next two, probably lose the next three, go on another losing streak. Like, I think, obviously, in the NBA, there's nights where you can beat good teams as a bad team. But it certainly works against you not being able to show up and have an organized plan as to what you're doing, as to what works, because we haven't seen anything really work without Giannis. So I think they're at it, man. I think somebody has to come in, that whatever moves they make, and it may be hard, it may be multiple players. Like, you might have to trade multiple guys to get multiple guys and really be able to change the identity without Giannis. But I think it's now, because right now you're 11 and 18. I don't see it getting better without Giannis right now. Like, yeah, you may pick up a win against the Pacers. You may pick up a win against a couple bad teams down the road, but you're basically rolling the ball out there with no plan, and you're losing, and I'm seeing it unfold. We're all seeing this unfold, and we're seeing the way that this could possibly end.
When it comes to the identity of the team, I think the identity of the team is we are, as Giannis goes on offense and as Giannis goes on defense. And you can lead that to roster construction, and you can also lead that to the coaching staff. I don't – do I think Doc is the best coach in the NBA? No, I don't. But where I do think that Doc is really suffering from is he is putting certain guys in charge of offense, certain guys in charge of defense, and those guys aren't executing to the level of what we need them to execute to. And unfortunately, that's why Doc is the one that falls on the sword when you're the head coach. You look at it in any sport. If you're a football coach, if your offensive coordinator is trash, if your defense, well, sometimes your special teams coordinator, you can still keep your job. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But those guys, you fall because of them. If you're a baseball manager, you fall because of your hitting coach or your pitching coach. This zone defense, and granted, it worked a little bit on certain teams, but when you look at a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are, I think the chat said third, and I heard that as well. They're one of the best scoring teams against the zone. Don't go in the zone. That's why we lost a 16-point lead. You let those guys start seeing the basketball go through the bucket, and then what happens? They made shot after shot after shot. The guy Shannon from Illinois, he had one shot, and then he took the game over for a brief second. And that's the type of stuff we have to stop. I don't know. I think there's no one untouchable on this roster. And I don't even know if Miles is untouchable right now. But it's going to be tough, just like it's tough to fire a coach in the middle season, to bring in a bunch of new faces and get them into a winning culture and bond and get ready. Because, I mean, we saw the struggles of Dame and Giannis when Dame wasn't in shape and when Giannis was in Greece. So you're asking whoever it is to come over here and fill this big gap from us. I don't know if it can be done. So my hope is the only gap we get filled is when 34 comes back and he picks up that weight, and then these other guys start playing better. I think Giannis is good enough to lead a team to the East by himself, the Eastern Conference Finals to the NBA Finals. But you got to have some guys play along with him, and that's where Kevin Porter Jr.'s game should get better. Rollins should get better. Bobby should get better. Turner should get better. Everyone should get better around 34, and that's what I'm hoping and praying for.
You just got to win enough games to get there. That's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm as confident as anybody else is in Giannis to lead a team, but if we keep snowballing these losses, it's going to be a real decision time, I think, for the Bucks.
Yeah, because not only 2.5 behind Chicago and 3 in the loss column, but now we're only a game up on Charlotte and Brooklyn as well.
Wow. Wow. And both of those teams are trying to tank and trying to lose. So it's a real bleak and dire situation.
Both have beat you. That's the
correct.
Head to head, both have beat you.
True.
Yeah. So I mean, I was going to say, people should have been traded a long time ago. December 15th was the first day a lot of the guys were available to be traded. So it's really only been 5 or 6 days or so where you could have made some actual headway on some trades. It is just, Justin, you made a point where you said, it's just like it's hard to fire a coach in the middle of the season. It's hard to, retool the roster in the middle of the season. But and I don't disagree with that, but I think it's one of those things where what you have is not working. And again, I think what the Bucks thought when they did fire a coach in the middle of the season was what you have is working. You were winning games. And I think the mindset was, well, if this sorry coach can win at a 70% clip, what's going to happen when we bring in a real coach? That was I think, the mentality of the front office and ownership. That's what they thought. This is a much different thing because now you're losing all these games. It's not like you're winning and like, ooh, we just what if we add on this and we'll really take off? This is because to your point, you're saying, well, how do you get a winning culture? How do you change when you shift all stuff in the middle of the season? Where you're at now, you don't have a winning culture. You don't have anything going for you. You need major shakeups because right now, at the rate you're going, like you mentioned, you're going to miss the playoffs. You're going to miss the play-in. It's going to be embarrassing. By the way, Giannis will if this is the rate it goes, Giannis will ask out after. And again, I think he's going to make it past that. Giannis will ask out at the end of the season. I wholeheartedly believe that. if this is the product you're going to put on the floor. So I agree. I think everybody's on the table. I disagree with Mark Gomes. We talked about this before, though. Because anything related to coaches on John Horst, I totally disagree with that. He has not gotten to put the last two coaching decisions have not been made by John Horst. So it just hasn't been a thing where he's been able to put the people in place that he thinks can lead and guide this basketball team. But again, on the floor, Jesse, you talk about that, the defense and giving the zone. But the 20-0 run, it was 6 minutes of no field goals made. How does that happen? Again, tonight's just one of those. I'm just at a loss for words. And Mark Gomes, that's incorrect. Doc was not John's guy. Doc was Jimmy Haslam's guy. That is totally incorrect. John Horst did not want to hire Doc Rivers. That was a Jimmy Haslam call. So, but and
also
James, go ahead.
When you fire Dr. Griffin, Mark, there's not a whole lot of choices you're going to have December, January, whenever you let him go. It's not like we casted that wide net like we did when we hired Dr. Griffin. Oh, by the way, Giannis said he only wanted to play for a coach allegedly that played in the NBA. So that left Nick Nurse out. That left what's your boy out there in Cleveland? I forget his name.
Who, by the way, they looking to get rid of. Apparently, Dan Gilbert is pissed off in Cleveland, and there's his seat is hot as well. Everybody's favorite coach, Kenny Atkinson. Oh, he's gonna say today. I'm so sick of these smart guys, the quote unquote the smart guys on social media who, again, they were the idiots who told you to fire. They talk about people, again, I'm not saying fans get you in any situations, but those are the idiots that we got to fire the coach. And we end up firing Adrian Griffin. Anybody can coach. And then you get Doc Rivers. Oh, Kenny Atkinson's the guy. I don't know that Kenny Atkinson's the guy. I don't know that at all. J.B. Bickerstaff, who they fired Kenny Atkinson for, J.B. Bickerstaff, who they fired for, looked like he got something going on in Detroit that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And they fired him, brought in Kenny Atkinson, thought he was the answer, and Kenny Atkinson is doing nothing with that Cleveland team right now. So I'm just saying, I'd say all that to say, I think people just see coaching names. Oh, that's not how this works. And again, a lot of times it's on players got to play too. But I digress.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is just, it makes sense. The roster is not good right now at all with Giannis out. And so I think there's blame to go around the whole organization, in my opinion. I think everybody from the players to the GM to the coach at some points, I think everybody's on the hook for what is unfolded. And, at this point, I think these moves are now for them to save their jobs. These decisions that are going to have to unfold here quickly, that's going to make or break whether they stay as Milwaukee Bucks players, as a Milwaukee Bucks coach, as a Milwaukee Bucks GM. I think they all have real consequences if they're not able to make the moves necessary, because we've seen time and time again where we've had our backs against the wall with this whole Giannis situation. Whether it's Giannis putting pressure on the front office, whether it's he actually may want to ask out. And they've done just enough, but can they do just enough at this moment in a season where it's actually snowballing almost out of control now?
Yeah, these guys on this basketball court are going to have to play better basketball. I feel like we sound like broken records at times.
Yep.
We talk about the basketball cards where they need to play better. Like Miles Turner just has to hoop better, period. KPJ has to protect that basketball better. Kyle can't turn the ball over going to the bucket when we're down 4 or 5 with the game on the line. Bobby can't try to run a 1-on-4 fast break. When you start getting outside your body and trying to do more than what you're physically capable of, you lose. If I saw Jericho Sims out there, which, by the way, I think he played maybe arguably his best game as a Milwaukee Buck, if not top 3. If I saw Jericho Sims out there shooting threes and trying to take guys off the dribble, I have an issue with that. You got to stay within your lane and do what you're capable of and win collectively as a team. We don't have one guy we could pass the ball to and tell the rest of the NBA to check ball right now. And I think guys like Bobby have gotten a little bit comfortable with that. He's been with Giannis the entire duration of it. Guys like even Doc and Ham and Vin Baker and those guys, we got so comfortable with Giannis being here and Giannis picking up the slack. He's a lot like what some of the other guys are in other sports. With Rodgers, for example, he covers up your holes and you don't see those holes anymore. And that's why he's arguably the best player in the NBA. Because I think if you take Joker off of those Nuggets, they're not going to be as bad as what this product is on the floor. And hopefully he comes back and we go on a 10 to 12 game win streak. But Miles got a hoop, man. It's just Miles has to do it. Everybody else I'm not really concerned with. I think AJ Green will shoot the ball better. And the other one, Gary Trent, Lord have mercy, brother. Like, I just don't understand it. For me, it's the wide open shots we're missing. And I think we talked about that a few shows ago. The contested ones, okay, I understand that. But when we're wide open and we're missing more than we're making, AJ Green can never go 1 for 8. What was Gary Trent from the floor?
Let me see. Gary Trent from the floor was 2 of 11.
Can't do that either.
Hey, he got a concert coming up, shooting them tour days. Justin, you made a good point. You said that we sound like a broken record, and I agree. It gets hard to even do this show because it's the same things happening with the same group of people over and over and over and over again. And it's that, like I said, it really makes our job. It's easy to come out here and talk about this team when you see multiple things, when different things can happen and different play styles, and you're finding ways to do things. And like it's hard to do it, to come up here when not only you lose, but you lose in the exact same way every single time. You get out rebounded, you get out hustle, you get out work, you get in the zone, they hit threes. The threes you get, their open threes are good looking open threes, and they hit them. Our threes are sometimes the same good looking open threes. We miss them. We turn the ball over, they score points off turnovers. We don't create the second chance opportunities that other teams. Miles Turner gonna get you about 4. It's the same thing. There is nothing and again, I'm not saying you have different types of performances, but you look at guys that go in and just have different style of games, but all within the realm of being good. And it's almost like, and what you look for out of players is consistency. I want a player that's consistent. I know Giannis gonna come give me 30 and 10 and 6 or whatever it is, or some kind of close combination of that. He's gonna play good defense, and there are things here and there that may change. But I'm looking for that consistent effort from that is his benchmark of a really good basketball game. These guys are consistently bad, like that, and that's the hard part. Like you're searching and you're trying to find it, and at some point you start looking and you go, you don't have anybody going to takeover mode, and you can kind of feel it once Minnesota grabbed that lead in the second half. We were never going to be able to sustain enough offensive and defensive success to string together enough stops and buckets to get back in front and win the basketball game. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, and when you see that happen, right, like you can basically chalk it up as an L when the game is on the line and we don't have a guy like Giannis that we can go to and just give it to him every possession, get downhill, make something happen. Like, we don't have that. And as much as I would like KPJ to step up and start cutting down those turnovers and be that guy for us,
he's not there yet.
He's not doing it yet. He's not doing it yet. He's not there. He's basically, even if he's scoring the ball at a high level, he's kind of mitigating that with his turnovers down the stretch. And we've seen that now a couple games in a row and a couple more games down during the season. So I think you're just at a loss when these big leads that you're able to finally get, they get immediately combated by an even bigger run, and then you're looking for answers down the stretch in these basketball games. And it's really a shame because I do think that this team would be giving us a lot more to talk about had Giannis not got hurt. Remember, we only got a couple games with KPJ and Giannis. Not saying that that would fix everything. I still think this team would probably have some struggles. Obviously, there were some struggles even with Giannis in the lineup. But it's a shame that Giannis is out right now because the best answer is Giannis. We need him on the floor for this basketball team, and we're just not getting that anytime soon. And that's why they're so inconsistent, I think, and that's why, we're relying on guys to step up that just they don't have it.
Yeah, we just got a lot of guys that make bad basketball choices, man. And that just has to stop. So, when you look at the coaching and stuff like that, and I don't just hold it just Doc's feet to the fire. We collectively got to hold the entire coaching staff's feet to the fire, I believe, because they're all one. Doc's just the one that gets the microphone in front of him, unless it's halftime. But we just have to it's too many guys that have wide open threes or wide open layups and guys get crossed up on this or that. And I thought we said a few games ago that the plan was to make the defense easier. I don't see that happening. Rick Hamilton says the 76ers fired Doc for a reason. What could we possibly be thinking of? I don't think that's really fair. When you talk about Doc in Philadelphia, he had a bunch of guys that quit not only on themselves, quit on their entire NBA career. You got Ben Simmons, you got Joel Embiid who doesn't want to hoop. There's a lot of guys who have not lived up to their potential under Doc. Is it Doc's fault or is it them? I don't know. You look at Blake Griffin. He didn't play well under Doc. Is that Doc or was that Blake and Chris Paul fighting? So I just think it's a mountain of bad stuff. I think the only real dogs Doc had that he's ever coached were KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen and Rondo and that team. And he's had a bunch of guys that don't have the tenacity of that. I found it funny that one guy in the chat mentioned that was 80s basketball with the zone. Yeah, you got to do a little bit more research, homie. The zone didn't. There was no zone in the 80s. It was man up, and there was also no hand check either. So we just got to – last thing, man, we just got to get the consistency with these calls because it doesn't matter if Giannis on the floor, if he's not on the floor. KPJ gets mugged quite a bit, and he doesn't get the call. So I'd like to see – we're talking about coaching. We want to blame Doc. I'd like to see Doc go get a tech and stand on one for your guy.
Let's. I do want to address this before we start to keep rolling here. Monacore says Rollins at 22 minutes is hilarious. He should be playing 40 minutes per game. What is he being limited for? And we talked about it earlier. A couple games ago, I think post-game Doc said that he didn't like the way Rollins and KPJ were playing together. And I actually, in some ways, understood his point. Because it does look like when Rollins is out there with KPJ for large stretches, especially when they start a game together, Rollins kind of gets to the point where he's just kind of watching Kevin Porter Jr. work. And I think they may benefit a little more from kind of, if they're in the lineup together, both running some point and both being able to allow to get downhill and touch the ball. And what do you think, though? Again, I'll say this. It definitely doesn't work if AJ Green's going to shoot like this. Like, I do somewhat understand Doc Rivers' point of again, the original point. But when AJ Green's going to come and show this, I'd rather just play Rollins and KPJ together because you got nothing out of the guy you replaced him for. But what do you like? What do you agree with that? Any odds? 22 minutes is a lot. Even if that's your goal, I don't like them playing together. You got to find more minutes for Rollins. I'm not saying, again, I think KPJ is the best player. I think it's pretty. I don't think it's. I'm not gonna say it's not that close, but I think Rollins is pretty clearly the better of the two. But 22 minutes is laughable. What do you think? What do you think should happen with those two moving forward, and why is it like this now, where it doesn't sound like Doc has a good handle on how many minutes? Or at least how to allocate the minutes between those two guards.
For me, I don't like anything about it, and that's because the defense just takes such a hit on the perimeter with Ryan Rollins only playing 22 minutes a game. Now, I've seen – maybe I just disagree with Doc in total because, yes, I do get that. I do get that Rollins has done a lot of standing around and watching. But there's also been times where they've kind of bailed each other out, and they've actually kind of looked decent out there where KPJ can't get inside. He can't penetrate the lane. And so he's got to toss it to Ryan Rollins on the perimeter, and then Ryan Rollins can work. So I think it's a matter of experience with each other. They got to learn how to keep playing off of each other because when I look at it, I don't see Ryan Rollins as maybe anywhere past maybe the fourth best player on the team. So for him to get 22 minutes, I think it's a disservice to this basketball team. I think it's a disservice to what they can actually do. I think it limits what they can actually do if you're only giving the guy who had been the big bright spot this season when KPJ was out, only giving him 22 minutes. I don't like it. I don't ever necessarily think I liked it in the first place to say that, oh, they can't play on the floor together. Let's try something new. No, I think you got to roll with your best.
I think the thing about Ryan is he's such a younger player. And I think you saw a lot of that type of stuff happen to KPJ when he was under Silas. Wasn't he under Silas? In Houston, where he would get kind of taken off the floor. And this would even after he dropped 50 on Drew Holiday's head against our Milwaukee Bucks and stuff like that. So as long as they're coaching Ryan up and they're getting him to a position where he can play better, I'm okay with it. But at some point, we can't kid ourselves. If Giannis was on the floor, it wouldn't matter to me. But right now with Rollins and KPJ being the only two shot creators outside of Big Bob and the post and Kuzma stuff, you gotta play them more. And when there's a 20-0 run going on, I might put them both in the game together and run pick and roll with them and Bob and Miles. You just have to do something. I just hope that Ryan is really getting the coaching that he needs. I think Doc has unlocked a lot of stuff in Rollins, in KPJ, in Kuzma this year. We talk about all the negative stuff does. Thought he did a good job with that. But right now, this plug and play stuff, look, we're losing games. We're losing a hell of a lot of basketball games anyways. So if we're going to go out, you might as well go out with your guns on the court. So I know I've kind of went back and forth on it, but if we're going to lose, I'd rather see Rollins on the court.
That's instrumental for your development too, right? Like you need to develop this guy into the future. You need to develop this guy into the future point guard, shooting guard, whatever he's going to play. And you can't have sporadic minutes throughout the season in doing so, taking his role away from him, taking some of the key moments in the games away from him and letting one guy go out there and try to do it all himself. It's a lose-lose to me.
Yeah, I see Mark Gomes says KPJ needs to get 10 assists per game. Less turnovers or let Ryan facilitate. Again, I think your issue is, to me, and Ryan, this is something Ryan has, he's got to be more aggressive. Like KBJ is always looking to get downhill, get what Mark Johnson said, paint touches. Far too often, this is just some of Doc Rivers' issue, is that offense is very east-west. It's very perimeter-oriented, just dribble handoffs, guys going around and say, you got to be able to get downhill. And I saw somebody else, James Moore says, the whole team does far too much standing around. Goes back to this team was built to play around Giannis. And when your team is built to play around Giannis, you have standstill shooters, AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., the way they use Miles Turner, which I wish it could be used differently, but the way they use him, Miles Turner. They have those Torian Prince, those types of players. Gary Harris can't do it. All the guys that they have, for the most part, outside of Rollins, KPJ, and Kuzma, those are your only other guys that even try to get downhill with any type of regularity. So when you say we have a lot of guys standing around, that's kind of what it's built for. It's built for, oh, you doubled Giannis. Oh, you spent too much attention looking at Giannis. Oh, Giannis has the gravity. Boom, here's the kick out. We're hitting a three. Those are the type of players that you have on the roster. You don't have a bunch of creators. You have guys that can get to the mid-range. And well, I guess Bobby Portis is another guy. He doesn't get his is more of a post-up game. where he, on the low block or on a block, where he gets it and can create a little bit and do some other things. But that's what this team has more of versus those other guys that can just make plays and make things happen. And that's why it's going to be very interesting to see what John Horst decides to do in, when he looks at the trade market, is what do you value? Do you value a Zach LaVine, another guy that can get to the basket, get and score and do all those do those things offensively, so that you shouldn't have a 20-0 run? Or do you value a team that get some more guys that can get rebounds and lock up? It's going to be interesting to see. And again, that's going to be John Horst and the ownership to figure out what they want to do. James Morris says he's referring to the defensive end. Well, they stand around defense because they in a damn zone all game. And I do think it is they don't lock up. Well, and the other issue about the locking up, they foul. When they are aggressive, they foul. Now, again, you want to argue that some of those fouls aren't actually foul. I don't know. But they have a high foul rate. They don't guard, and they try to and so to make up for that, they try to play a zone. So again, it's just a lot of problems. It's just a lot of problems with the basketball team all around.
You talked about the fouls. That's the big issue with Miles Turner, man, and that's why his offensive game doesn't get going and stuff like that. He has so many touch fouls. And bad fouls and stuff like that. And you can't get on the court if you're going into the first quarter. Cost me my parlay too. I needed 2 points in the first quarter. And this dude, but you're always, it's a touch foul. It's you got to go up vertical. And I mean, he mentally, hey man, I gotta change my tune on Tyrese Halliburton, man. I still hate the dude. I think he is just as garbage could be as a person, as a troll and all that stuff. Take your bum ass out to LA, go throw out the first pitch with them bums. Or maybe you could go to Chicago, talk about tour dates. But he had this dude damn near playing like an NBA all-star. And now he's came to Milwaukee, and we see a lot of the stuff of that he can't create a shot. He can't rebound the way that we want. He can't protect the rim. And maybe Carlisle and Halliburton had this guy a lot better than what he was and what he truthfully is, man. And then, a couple shows ago, and I forgot to mention it then, we were talking about trading for Sabonis with not us, but the chat. We saw that fail in Indiana, so we don't need no parts of Sabonis here. But Anthony Edwards is a dog, man. His horrible games are better than a lot of people's good games.
Yeah. No, that's how we're. And I agree on Tyrese Halliburton. Again, how much of that's Tyrese Halliburton? How much of that is who's their coach is Rick
Carlisle.
How much does Carlisle versus Doc on how you use Miles Turner? Some of that, all that included as well. All right, fellas, let's go to Twitter. See what Twitter has to say tonight. Here we go. At AZip7, he says both Doc and Horst should be fired after this debacle. I get it. Players are to blame too, but this has to be the final nail in Doc's coffin. How long will this continue until somebody's either fired or a trade is made? Again, I just wholeheartedly, I'll repeat it over and over again. I just don't think firing a coach midseason is going to work unless you're prepared to tell me that Darvin Ham is going to do a better job than Doc Rivers, because I'm 100%. I 100% disagree that you can take Doc Rivers. You can fire Doc Rivers in the middle of the season and bring somebody else in and have that, and without a coach, without a true coaching search, and have it work. Iron Man Clan says, look at how the Nuggets look once they got rid of Mike Malone. People really underestimate how much of a different voice. I'm not saying, and I agree, a different voice can change. You do it after the season. Doing it middle of the season does not. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. At Light Seraph just fired Doc. Haven't watched in a while because of him. Same for Horst. It seems he's a shakeup. He's still a no-show. At MJ Gaming says Porter needs to tighten up the turnovers. How does Green get out of this funk? Gary Harris shouldn't play anymore. Kuzma is extremely overrated. That's interesting. I haven't heard of that. Kuzma is overrated. Who is overrated? Kyle Kuzma. That's interesting to me. At Malik 414_404 says the Bucks season's over as far as I'm concerned. Giannis ain't saving it. At Drew Behringer says Horse got to do something, but I fear it's too late. There'll be 10 games under 500 before Giannis is back on to 26-27. At Ball Steve 17 says fuck Doc Rivers.
Yikes.
I'm not wearing anything Bucks related till he's fired. A couple more at MKE Bucks 11. I just read it.
Yeah, you're good.
Emphasis.
At
It's in all
MKE.
caps.
At MKE Bucks 11 says the only excuse for Rollins not playing more is that he's getting shot. And we'll do one more here. At Cookie the Best 7-11 says got to start looking for addition by subtraction with trades or legit improvements. Coaching is a major issue, but so is the roster. So again, it looks like anything you might want to say about the Twitter. Basically, a lot of Doc Rivers sucks. They want to fire Doc, and just again, the word we've used a couple times on the show before, apathy. Seems like people have started. I'm not watching. I'm giving up, and it's a bad place to be right now. For Milwaukee, this is the first time I've seen a team where they legitimately, even in the games Giannis misses, you don't expect this basketball team to win games. You just don't. You don't. You don't. And Miles Turner was your big acquisition, and it has not. He cannot. He is not played up to. Because again, if you bring him in, not necessarily replace Damian Lillard, kind of could replace, but that is, he's supposed to be your second best player. He's not, and that's part of the reason why. It's part of the reason why when you get into games without Giannis, it's just tough sledding.
Yeah, I mean, when you say that you don't go into games expecting us to win, shoot, I don't go into games expecting us to be able to hold a 16-point lead, and that's a problem. Like I see us go up double digits, and I'm still on my toes because I know what can happen with this basketball team. Yeah, it sucks. And everybody, we talking about potential acquisitions and things like that. Like, how many guys are we realistically going to be able to trade and get some value back? Like, these guys are shooting their value out. These guys are making bad decisions to decrease their value. So that's what I think is a tough realization as well.
Now, that's a great point because you see a lot of this stuff on Twitter. And first of all, I thank all y'all on Twitter, all y'all in the chat for your frustrations, why you're upset, why you turn the TV off, and all that other stuff. Hey, I get it, man. We sat through years upon years of this stuff, and I feel like trading Giannis, we're on the cusp of that, or Giannis leaving, we're on the cusp of that once again. And those were some dark days. I mean, if you for you newer Bucks fans that don't understand, the Bradley Center was never built for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bradley Center was built to lure a professional hockey team to Milwaukee. And, oh, by the way, Herb Cole just donated a bunch of money, and we would allow the Bucks to play in that or whatever. Then you fast forward into the Giannis area where I feel like we've arrived. However, what I'm gonna say is that Chris hit the nail on the head. You see these dudes out here, and all y'all in the chat, all y'all on Twitter, y'all talk about how they suck, how this person sucks, how this person's playing bad. So you want John Horst to go trade a bunch of bad basketball players to get Anthony Davis or get Zach LaVine or who else have we mentioned? Jimmy Butler, Jeremy Grant. These GMs, if we see that with our not NBA eyes, with our fan eyes, what do you think these GMs are looking at? And it's going to take more than that first round pick of 31 and 32 and all that other stuff. Like, we're not in a good situation. We're in a bleak situation. And Giannis is going to have to come back. And this may be part of the reason why he got hurt. But his hair's going to have to be on fire. And he's going to have to play amazing. And that's the only shot we have.
Yeah, I think, you start to look at these standings and in the Bucks, I'm just looking for the 6th spot. You're 5.5 games back of 6th. I guess you're also 5 games back. You're basically 6 games back from fourth. Again, it's not over. It is doable. I've seen teams climb themselves out of holes bigger or at least the same. You do have the excuse, if you will, that your best player's not there. But yeah, it's gonna take a large. It's gonna take some doing on the part of Giannis and potentially whatever other trades that are made for this basketball team to get to where they should be and where you want to. But yeah, it's just gonna. But again, it's doable. It is very doable. I'm looking at all the teams in front: Chicago, Atlanta, Miami, Cleveland, Toronto. If you stop it there, I don't think any of those teams. I mean, maybe exception of Cleveland, none of those teams are world beaters. You could definitely go on a run and get this thing turned around. But to do that, you need to at least somewhat hold serve, and then you got to get Giannis back. You just can't get to 11-22, 11-23. That's when it becomes very, very hard to do. So the Bucks gonna have to make some hay over these next. Again, you just look at this. You have on Tuesday, you got Indiana. On Friday, you got Memphis. Saturday, you got Chicago, who's been reeling a little bit. Next Monday, you got the Hornets in Charlotte. And then on next Wednesday, New Year's Eve, you got the Wizards. Like you've got to put some, and you got the Hornets again on January 2nd. This is time again. I get it. You're probably not going to have Giannis there. This is the time where you've got to be able to keep some pace here, and not let this thing get any worse than it already is at the very least. So that when you have Giannis come back, which should be, I'm guessing, around first week or two of January, that you're ready to go make some moves, because at that point it becomes like basically once New Year's hits, it's like you're either going or you're not going, and they'll basically have a month to figure that thing out. What are you gonna do in that moment? How are you gonna get there? We'll see.
How many games that you mentioned? Was it 6?
Might have been.
We got to go 5 out of 6. The only pass you can get is Memphis. We got to. Like, I mean, we our hole is so big that we've dug around us. You're due for one. And all these teams, with the exception of Memphis, because you never know how they're going to show up, but they have 2 very good basketball players. But there's nobody on Indy I look at and I say they're very good. There's nobody on Chicago I look at and I say they're very good. Charlotte, hey, I know their record is behind us and all that, but they've been playing a lot better basketball. But you got to find a way to beat those teams. We just talked about it as far as the great teams. We're necessarily not going to beat those right now, but those mid to bad teams, we got to find a way to beat them. And if we can't, I mean, yikes.
I'm gonna address these 2 comments here. From Moniker, he says, and I hate this kind of. This is that 2020 hindsight kind of bullshit that people get. I like Moniker. He comes in and gets some good chat. But this is the 2020, the hindsight's 2020 shit that people come with, and they start acting like all the moves you made were terrible. He says it's insane that they dumped Middleton last season to quote unquote get flex. They didn't quote unquote get flexibility. They did that. That's not like a quote. They did it to get flex. No, they did get flexibility. That's what they did. And then he says, just to waive Damian Lillard was hurt. The ownership didn't do that. John Horst didn't tear Damian Lillard's Achilles. He tore his Achilles. I can't help that the guy I spent all the money on tore his Achilles. So your answer there is you would have did you want the Bucks to sit on his torn Achilles? By the way, you also are, because the other thing that you're not mentioning, Monacore, is that the entire, I say it's from honest, but the entire MO of this front office or from ownership is to keep Giannis in Milwaukee. And if that's been your MO, keep Giannis in Milwaukee, what the hell is a guy why would I pay a guy rehabbing his Achilles money to rehab when I might have my superstar who is threatening to leave? I've got to do something for him. And by the way, Moniker, when you say you waive Dame, adding $22 million in dead cap for 5 years, and give Miles Turner $100 million, and teams even worse, LOL. I asked both of you when you heard the Milwaukee Bucks had stretched and waived Damian Lillard and got Miles Turner, what was your first reaction? What was your first reaction?
He might bring something to the table. He might at least be better than Brook Lopez. Now, did it happen? Is it happening right now? No, but that was my initial reaction.
What was your initial reaction, Justin?
I was super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we finally got someone on the team that's younger that can run, stretch the floor, and just do everything that we thought that Brooke did when she was much younger. I thought it was one of the most brilliant decisions of the offseason. And then the whole thing that Buddy threw in about Kyle Kuzma and Chris Middleton, I mean, I thought we were done with that, but it's all good. So Chris Middleton has played 17 games this year, while Kyle Kuzma has played 27. Kuz is averaging 13.5, 4.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, while Middleton is averaging 10.2 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Oh, but by the way, Kuz is always available unless he had a Gravely virus like he had the other day. So, like, all that stuff is just
but my point, and yeah, there's no question Kyle Kuzma is a better player at this point than Chris Middleton is, and he's also cheaper. But two, my whole point in that is, if your first reaction or your initial reaction, unless you were pounding the drums saying, "Oh my God, Miles Turner sucks. He's the worst player of all time." Now again, the only people I know who get to bang that drum are Indiana Pacers fans who told us that Miles Turner sucks and we weren't gonna like that. We weren't gonna like it. I heard say it all the time. For the majority of people who I know, we were like, "Oh my God, Miles Turner, this is gonna be an upgrade over Brook Lopez, and you got something going here." I just find it so disingenuous to then come back after the fact. It's the same thing with Damian Lillard. I was happy about the trade. It didn't work, but I just find it disingenuous to then come back and be like, I can't believe the front office sucks because they did. No, they did what was right at the time. And I said about John Horst all the time. To me, they did what was right. They did what was right at the time, and that's. And again, I can't be upset that's what they did. I can't be upset at it. Monica says there's a reason no teams use that waiver stretch. Correct, because no teams have a superstar player like Giannis who's telling them, "I'm gonna leave if you don't upgrade the roster." Correct. It's not used often. I'm trying not to get upset, but there's a reason. If John Horst thought that, remember whenever someone gap year. If John Horst thought, "Hey, I can do a gap year and keep my superstar here," he would have did it. He didn't have the luxury. So he was forced into doing something. And if you want to know what I'm really starting to think now about this whole Giannis trade operation shit, I'm damn near of the mindset, I don't know Giannis wants to get traded at all. I'm damn near starting to think Giannis wants to pretend like he wants to get traded so that John Horst makes another move. And he makes another. I think, no, you need to make moves so I can stay. I'm not saying he wouldn't do, but I think this is a pressure point to say you're not about to sit on your hands. You're gonna go into more debt and more tax and more. You give up more resources to keep me around because you got to show me that you're trying. You got to show me what this is about. That's when I'm starting to think about Giannis. I don't know that he really wants to leave.
Who did that? Oh, Kobe Bryant did that.
Yeah.
The only difference between Kobe and Giannis, and I know Giannis is a Kobe disciple, is Kobe went through some of that losing and allowed some of those lower draft picks to be a little bit mid-range or whatever the case may be. But and I think, yeah, I hope you're 100% right on that theory, man. I mean, I know all Bucks fans do. I would love to see this guy do the whole Donald Driver thing. Start with your team, finish with your team. It'd be amazing. I still think we got one more in us. If it's this year, that's probably a pause. If it's this year, I don't know. Like you just mentioned, when you mentioned all those standings, though, we're 4, 5, 6 games back without that guy coming. So if we can go 4-6, 5-6, if we could get all 6, and I know that's delusional glasses, Bucks Kool-Aid, but if we could get 4 at a minimum, I think we're in a much better situation when he comes back early January. And we know we got some dog days coming back, but one thing to know about this NBA, guys will be rested. Giannis is the best player walking the earth right now. I mean, go fight your mama because I ain't going to fight with you because I think he's better than Joker. I think he's better than SGA. I think he plays both ends of the court. And I think him being on the floor is enough to get this team going. But like I think it was either you or Chris said earlier, this hole can't get but so much deeper, and then we're just got to go on that 6-game run to get the 10 spot.
Okay, get deeper.
That's probably a pause too, huh?
A little bit, but yeah, man. I mean, that's all I'm trying to. I mean, I understand a lot of this, but come on, man. We just gotta.
He told us we got Mark Gomes. You got one. Be happy. No, we're not gonna be happy with just one. And Mark, we've already established that you're a Giannis guy, so we get traded next year. If he signs somewhere else next year, we're not gonna. Why would we ever be happy with one championship when we have the best player arguably in the world? That's ludicrous thought. That's loser's thought. That's how we know you ain't been here since the paint was chipping off the damn urinals in the Mecca. Because you don't know what the real losing is about. But you about to see it unless you jump ship.
Crypto Park 224 says you can't compare Chris Middleton on the Wizards to Kuzma on the Bucks. Different team vision. Middleton would get more minutes and points here. I don't know that at all because Kuzma in Washington, didn't he average like 20 a night basically in Washington? So I don't know. So no, it sounds like you had a green light and Washington do whatever the hell you want to do. So no, I don't know if that's true either because Kuzma's, and again, now you talk about the efficiency, but Kuzma put up whatever numbers he wanted to put up in Washington. So I disagree with that as well. But we'll move on from that. Let's go to game balls. 103-100. Minnesota beats the Bucks. Anybody want to do game balls tonight? What you got?
Not from the Bucks. I would say what I saw from Rudy Gobert, and a lot of people have that same mentality in the chat where they came into this live stream talking about what Rudy Gobert did. But yeah, it's just the grit to go and get those offensive rebounds, put himself in the right positions on the offensive glass, on the glass, and really, I mean, sometimes when we look at it, we say, okay, the Bucks big men don't really put a body on the opposite team. Well, I thought they were trying for the most part, but Rudy Gobert was just very elusive and found himself in the right spot most of the time. So I go Rudy Gobert for my game ball, a.k.a. a.k.a. If I got all them first-round picks for me, what can we get for Giannis?
You know, it's hard for me to go with the non-Buck for my game ball because I just hate the other team. I don't care who we play. I hate them all. If I had to give it to a Buck, but I'm not going to tonight, but I would just say if I had to give my most valuable Buck, it would be Jericho Sims tonight. Thought he did a great job rebounding the basketball and just trying to get in the way. And I thought that he did a good job when he was in the paint as far as not letting Anthony Edwards do whatever he wanted to do when he got to the bucket. But when the game gets in crunch time and your best player's on the floor, you got to go Ant Edwards, man. Like, when the game was on the line, he was 0 for 6 at one point for the three. He hit 2 timely three-pointers. I remember a bank shot that he hit that was amazing. And he's just a player, man. And AKA, I got straight cash, homie. AKA, you better get Guru and JT both to kind of get me out of these holes I'm creating. But AKA, he's that man, and he gonna show you. And if he ain't gonna show you, he gonna buy his way out of it.
There you go. Game ball for me. I'm with you. You know me. I got to win to get in. So I'm gonna go with some of the T-Wolves, and I agree with you, Chris. It's gonna be Rudy Gobert for me. 11 points, 18 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 5 of 7 from the field. I didn't think he tried to do too much. He just dominated the second half on the glass, and got to what he needed to get to. So Rudy Gobert gets my game ball, aka AKA Bonjour, a.k.a. What'd you say? Oui, a.k.a. What Marcus John say? Estefan a.k.a. Rudy got the chalk. I don't remember that show, do you? What was that show? You remember that show? They said Rudy got the chalk? I can't remember that. Somebody in the chat tell me the show is on Nickelodeon. Was it Max and Rudy? Was it Max and Ruby? No. There's a show where they say Rudy got the chalk. I don't know why it just came in my head. But
only Rudy's who respect are from the Huxtables. But keep
okay, going. Yeah, okay. AKA Rudy started COVID. Remember when he touched all the mics?
Oh,
there you go. Steelers fan, AKA Patient Zero. There we go. All right. 103-100. Let's do a look around tonight. Bucks lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Rockets are up right now, 63-57. That game's about to go to the half. How about the Bulls and Hawks? 152-150. What the hell was going on there? I did see the end of that game. Trae Young tried to flop to get the last second shot to tie the game. I think he tried to flop, didn't work. How about the Brooklyn Nets get a win, 96-81 over the Raptors? Knicks beat the Heat. Heat are 15-14. How about your boy Khalil Ware? 28-19 tonight. That's a number. How about Jalen Brunson? 47 and 8 assists tonight. That's a big number. Spurs beat the Wizards 124-113. Let's see what your boy Chris Middleton did. Oh, he didn't play. We hear no shit about no Chris Middleton. He don't play basketball. He ain't play either. I didn't see his name. They sent his ass down to the damn G League or something. He might be on the go. Okay, that's all the games today. So Spurs beat the Wizards there. Panthers, big dub. How about Bryce Young? 12 career game-winning drives. That's what this is. Justin, you were asking. That's who that is. That's Bryce Young. That's who that is. Oh. Yeah. Hell of a game. I was there. That's why my voice sounds like this. Listen, man. I don't know if we'll make the playoffs. It's still up to be said. But I tell you, from a fan, if you're a fan of the Panthers, to be where we are, to be playing meaningful football in December, to be able to go to a game in December that meant something, where you're now on top of the NFC South. You are a game away, basically, from having a home playoff game in the NFC. Can't beat it, man. Can't beat it. Listen, man. I couldn't be more proud of that team. Dave Canales, all the things, all things Doc Rivers. Like, he's like the opposite of Doc Rivers as far as like building a culture, building an identity, building a team, all the things that you want to see, pushing the right buttons. That's what Dave Canales is doing. And again, led by Bryce Young, who again won like if the NBA has a clutch player award. If the NFL had a clutch player award, it'd be Bryce Young. Like I say about Bryce, like he's a guy that end of games, like Bryce plays up and down. And today he outplayed Baker Mayfield, like by far. But end of games, he's a guy. I'll tell you this, I think about Giannis. We go into the game. I think Bucks got Giannis. They're gonna win the game. When the Panthers had Cam Newton, I came in every game thinking they were gonna win the game. I'm sure, Justin, with Jordan Love, you feel like every game because you have Jordan Love, we got a shot. We're gonna win. Don't matter who you play, you're gonna win. When it was Aaron Rodgers, don't matter who you play, you got a shot to win. It's not like that with Bryce, but when you hit that winning time, fourth quarter, I get that feeling that I feel very confident. Late in games, up, down, tied. Bryce Young get me down and get points, and that's what he does. I think it's like for what he has some kind of record for most. I can't remember what the actual. I don't know if it's a record or if it's like higher than certain guys, but it's something for most game winning comebacks or whatever. In the amount of time he's played in the league. So shout out to Bryce. Shout out to the Panthers. All right, nothing. All right. So then, go ahead.
I would never root for the Carolina Panthers. I would never root for any NFL team unless one of my children got a check from one of them, and then maybe you might be able to entertain it. That's how I became a Texas Rangers fan, right? Got the family on the team, and you root for them. That's why Chris roots for some of the teams that he roots for in a given moment. He got some connections to it. But what I will tell you is that watching that Panthers game, I thought that, man, not just Bryce, though, that defense did an amazing job. And it's just a great win for all you Panther fans, all 7 of y'all. And, you know, I mean, it's just a good, solid win, man. And I do hope that you win the South. I want to see Baker Mayfield not make it.
Yeah, the big thing I'll say about Bryce is just, I mean, having him on my fantasy team, on my dynasty, it's really made me watch more Carolina Panthers than I probably would have liked to. But it's been a pleasure seeing him grow because there's been plenty moments in his career where he is up and down, and that up and down starts to become a pick a game or maybe 2 picks, a fumble lost. He has really, tapered that number down. So like to see that, and then like to see that he's spreading the wealth. He has the weapons now. Like you see Jalen Coker come back, and now he's a big factor for them.
I'm a cokehead.
Jatavian Sanders, like he's been kind of up and down, but still Bryce Young's getting the ball to him in crucial moments where they need to score, and so not only Leggett but also Tet McMillan making the most of him being the wide receiver 1. Like he's really got the weapons around him, and he's making the most of that. So it's cool to see.
And then of course we got to talk about what a hell of a game yesterday. Went to overtime. Bears 22, Packers 16. Listen, as much as I'm not even a Caleb Williams fan, that throw in overtime was as an unreal throw, big time play. To a former Panther, DJ Moore. But we have to talk about the onside kick and the funny part we talked about before we came on was to Zim, the Christian Watson's daddy, be on Twitter all the time, and Christian Watson's dad basically said essentially called Romeo Dobbs soft and said you shouldn't be on the hands team with a guarding cap. And Dobbs was backing up at the end of the game. I'll give Dobbs credit. He faced the music at the end of the in the press conference, or at least with the reporters, and I give him credit for that. A lot of guys would have left without doing press.
Like Keyshawn?
Like a lot of guys. There was somebody in Tampa a couple years ago who fumbled at the end of a game. And
Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, he just walked. He just walked. Yeah, he walked out in the middle of the interview. So I mean, I get it because that's a tough thing to do. But I mean, I guess I ask you, should you not be on the hand team with a guarding cap? And then 2, just general thoughts on how that ended, and Green Bay's on the outside looking in.
Well, yeah, I felt like just a ton of mishaps that Green Bay had. That I mean. Yeah, you point to that one because it essentially lost you the game, but they had plenty of other mishaps. I think about the 4th and 1 fumble, the snap, Malik Willis, which I thought he played a good game. I thought he looked good as he continues to look good as a backup. But there were some moments in there that were iffy. But I will say, that throw by Caleb Williams, insane. The fact that he throws that and then puts his hand in the hand warmers while it's in the air, it's a different level of moxie to be doing that. Maybe he didn't actually do that consciously. He probably just, it was cold out there. But, I felt like you're seeing now the tide change a little bit where they've got a dynamic quarterback on that side now, and he's doing it consistently. And yeah, I mean, I don't think the guardian cap has all that much to do with it. I think from what we've seen from Romeo Dobbs and some of his issues, uncharacteristic things that I guess a normal human being does. The guardian cap may be out there to actually protect him, and he probably, as a lot of people would, get a little nervous when that happens, when you got a couple of guys on the kickoff coming at you. So I don't know. I don't think it really has to do too much with the Guardian cap. I think it's just it's a ish happens kind of thing.
Yeah. So I hear all this Caleb Williams talk about the throw. It's an amazing throw. Why he get the throw off? Because they're holding Quay Walker. They took the man's damn jersey off. Caleb Williams is trash. He got outplayed by Malik Willis twice. Don't give me this bullshit about, his arm, he's getting better. He's not getting better. That's why he makes more of his throws. He completes more throws than Rudy Gobert hits free throws. He's 49% throwing the ball. He's not good. The MVP of the Chicago Bears is that damn kicker who made those tough kicks and had that onside kick. And all the dirty crap that they did, you targeting Jordan Love, you led with the crown of your helmet. That's the boy's second roughing the passer. And Montez Sweat's whole ass with that shit he did to Malik Willis. The Bears are frauds. You're going to see it. Caleb Williams he's the epitome of beating backup quarterbacks. When a real quarterback comes to town, he can't beat him. Bears are trash. They're going to lose. They'll probably lose the damn division and won't even win the division. Ben Johnson, he's a hoe. Caleb Williams, a hoe. DJ Moore, hey, that was a great catch. The throw it should have been null and void because he was holding them. Josh Jacobs should not have fumbled the ball. He probably shouldn't have played. Should have had my boy Manny in the game. I do agree with that. We can't get the ball inside of their 8-yard line 4 times and only get 6 points from it. But I'm not giving those Chicago Bears and that shit-ass franchise any credit. I'm not giving Caleb Williams any credit. He missed every throw. And Keyshawn Nixon, the one throw that he completed to even send the damn game to overtime, what the hell are you covering? Dude's wide open in the back corner of the end zone, and Caleb Williams, it wasn't even a legit throw. He threw a wounded duck up there. Keyshawn just watched him complete it like we did at home. Hey, Bears are garbage. They're garbage. Whole goddamn city of Chicago's garbage. You got an arena that Michael Jordan built that's now a hockey arena. Sorry, I'm pissed.
Good, better, best.
I don't know what that means, but them jokers gonna be out of it, man. Knock the fingernail polish off that goddamn bump.
Oh, man.
Can't do it when you're being held, though. You play DB, Trey. What the hell was Keyshawn? What were they doing?
Listen, man, I'm with you, but yeah, I can't hate on Caleb Williams, man. I want to hate on Caleb. I can't do it. I can't do it. He makes high-level throws. Again, I'm not he's a little reckless, gunslinger, whatever. He makes high-level throws. That's all I'm going to say. And Dustin Wagner says soon to be the Gary Bears. Yeah, the Gary. Yeah, that'll be. They have some stadium issues. What they want to do there. Anything else to know? Some college football. Miami got the dub. I was out most of Saturday, but I know Miami got a dub. Both Tulane and James Madison took L's. Any issues with those guys? But we talked about it before. Those guys get in, basically get their ass whooped. Any issues there?
Yeah, for sure. There's an issue with that. It essentially made that Saturday unwatchable. Like, yeah, the Miami and A&M game was all right. Like 10-3, that was arguably a boring game. But man, when you see those two teams have to line up against those other two teams, you just know after the first offensive drive that it's different. It's different from each respective Power 4 school. It's just different. And that's not to say, like, James Madison had some moments in there where they looked like, okay, they went on like a 7-minute drive, only got a field goal out of it, converted some 4th downs. But, like, they're going to have a couple of guys. They're going to have a couple of guys that should probably be playing at the Power 4 level and will play at the Power 4 level. But it's just different. And it sucks that we were basically, for now, Boise State got in with that bye, so it didn't really affect the quality of games. But this year was even worse, having 2 Group of 5 teams play 2 Power 4 teams on the same day, back-to-back. It really limited the watchability of those games on that Saturday. Now, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Miami, both fine games to watch, both good games to watch. But, yeah, they've got to stop that. They've got to cut it out. Now, could there eventually be a Group of 5 team that beats a team in the top 10? Yeah, it could. but the probability of it happening is just so low that it's kind of robbing that first round of being relatively good.
Well, should there be a G5 championship? That's what I've seen some people say that they should just do that instead, and that'd be a better,
Yeah, I mean,
viewing experience.
yeah, maybe, but at the end of the day, like, it's just be the same as the bowl games, right? Nobody's going to watch the bowl games. I don't know if anybody's necessarily going to be watching those quarterfinal, semifinal, final games of the Group of 5 tournament. So maybe a smaller expansion would be good and have one Group of 5 get that opportunity. But if it's 12, even still, if it's 12, I think the top 12 teams should just play.
Yeah, I think Alabama Oklahoma was a game of the first round. Thought Oklahoma first half did everything, kind of looked like the Bucks tonight, did everything you possibly could do, and then second half adjustments just went crazy, and Oklahoma left a little bit left to be desired. But that's what I want to see in a college football playoff game. I want to see two juggernauts. James Madison probably played offensively. I think there were 500 some yards of total offense, but you're still down 30, 20, whatever it is. And I mean, so all the Notre Dame fans, and I get why you're saying that, your gripe shouldn't really be with Miami or any of that. It should be with either Tulane or James Madison. And you just can't have those guys up there going to a gunfight with a knife. They're just not good enough. I'm excited for the next round of games, though. I think that's where it's really going to start to get very interesting. What do you have Indiana and Alabama, so that should be a good one. I'll just say this about Indiana, though. You know why James Madison isn't as good as what they are? Because their damn coach and half their damn players are at Indiana right now. They're doing a great job, but yikes. And I think that coach from JMU is out of there as well. Again, is UCLA or somewhere he's going, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, so kudos to James Madison for making it, but I do agree with that. We need something else where those guys can compete, man. Not FCS level, but we just going to need some separate stuff, man.
Shout out James Moore in chat. Clearly a Texas fan. So we see you. Lastly, last thing I have, Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua is this weekend. Anthony Joshua broke Jake Paul's jaw in 2 places, I believe. That was insane. I was watching it. I was like, I'm always interested with the Jake Paul stuff. He was clearly outmatched. And yeah, any thoughts there on what's next for Jake Paul or even Anthony Joshua, who calls people like, what is Jake Paul? Because again, he was outside of his comfort zone just from a weight class standpoint. If he gets back to what his normal weight and fighting that, can he actually compete with real fighters? Again, the heavyweights clearly no, but back in his weight class, could he make some noise?
No, probably not. I think there's just probably a little gap. Again, it's like the FBS group of 5 teams playing the FBS guys. Like, it's just a certain level of it's different. It's different at the highest level. And I don't know if a guy that comes in with probably not that much experience, like growing up as a kid, like all these professionals, they probably started at a younger age than Jake Paul did. Jake Paul's on Disney. So, I think there's just another level that he would have to get to, and I don't know if that's obtainable, especially with, at the end of the day, he's still like a personality, a media personality, and the things that entails as well. So I don't necessarily think he could compete with the professional boxers, but again, doing what works for him, the old washed up guys that he fights, that's great, and I'll still watch.
I never heard of Jake Paul until y'all started talking about on T's and Q's of this Mike Tyson this Mike Tyson fight that he had. All the stuff you read is his stuff is scripted, allegedly. And what's his boy's name? What's the dude's name he fought? Yeah, you can clearly tell I didn't watch it. But they said allegedly Anthony Johnson, Joshua? Him too. Them boys, that boy didn't follow the script though, and he beat his tail. I'm glad he got some get back from Mike Tyson. Mike, hey man, I don't know. I hope Jake Paul, he should go with his brother. And his brother in the WWE, what's his brother name? Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Like, he should go to that, man. You can make millions doing that. I mean, he clearly has a following, though, because to get the amount of money that he gets for these fights is insane. But, yeah, man, I didn't watch it, man. I kind of punched my pillow and pretend it was 94's AC.
Okay. I think Zay Flowers just fumbled, and so New England's gonna look like they're gonna. Baltimore does have 3 timeouts, but looking bleak.
Lamar got hurt.
Yeah, Lamar got hurt, but Hunt was in there trying to have a game-winning drive, but they're gonna be in some trouble. Trying to get this dub here. Anything else anyone wants to get at before we get up out of here?
Nope.
Better days got to come at some point. I don't know when, but they got to go.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, the Bucks. They just gotta get wins. There's not much to say. You have to get wins. You got to get this thing back on track. We said it every single night. Back in action on Tuesday. Bucks lose tonight, 103-100 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us, watching us, looking at us, talking to us, talking with us in the chat, and doing all those things. So again, we appreciate it. Appreciate the super chats, of course, as usual. Appreciate you rocking out with us. This is the best post game in all of the land for the Milwaukee Bucks. Please, if you didn't hit the like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. All of that good stuff for us. Tell a friend, tell another friend about the Cream City crossover. Like I said, it is the best post game show, Milwaukee Bucks in all the land. This has been a Cream City Media Group production from the Group Alert.
Justin.
If I am enemy, it's only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wooden nickels.